Good evening, and welcome to a Brass Kaleidoscope presented by the Lethbridge Community Band Society. Before we begin, we would like to acknowledge the traditional territories and oral practices of the Blackfoot Nations, which includes the Siksika, the Piikani, and the Kainai. We also acknowledge the Tsuut'ina and Stoney Nakoda First Nations, the Métis Nation of Region 3, and all people who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of Southern Alberta. Please rise as you are able to join us in O Canada.
Good evening. My name is Rene and I'm Society President. And for those of you that were at our last concert in the spring, you may remember that we said farewell to our then conductor. She retired. So obviously, there's somebody new. And it's my pleasure to introduce Ken Rogers as our new conductor. And most of you will probably know Ken. He's got a long reputation of being a musician in this town. He's done almost everything under the sun, I think, in this town. Choral, symphony, and band music. He's also setting a record in that he is the first conductor with the community band that has conducted the silver band, the gold band, and now the brass band. So we're quite proud of that. So help me welcome Ken to the brass band and to the podium.
How many of you recognize that one? Yes, and we picked it. It really displays wonderfully all the colors of the brass band. And I picked it just to sort of show off all the capabilities of this group, and also because who didn't enjoy watching the Olympics this past summer? I mean, the Paris Olympics were a wild success. Canada did very well, and I hope that stirred just some really good feelings inside. And I think most people know that was written by John Williams, probably the most famous film composer and one of the most famous composers of all time. He's over 90 years old and still with us and still writing on occasion still. We're really going to change gears. We're doing a kaleidoscope tonight, and we're going to change gears into a 300-plus-year-old piece written by Johann Pachelbel. It's called his Canon. And it's two things at once. It's a ground bass. You'll hear the tubas play the same thing 31 times in a row. They love this piece. Matter of fact, they just thought I said ground beef. I could feel them perk up back there. No, ground bass tubas, not ground beef. Relax back there. And the canon part is that the melody has 3 or 4 parts and keeps getting ornamented. So you'll hear a melody, and then you'll hear somebody sort of very, very politely interrupt that melody and add another part to it, while the first melody continues on to something else. And then you'll hear another part come in, and this just keeps going on for about 31 times. It's one of the most beautiful pieces in the world, and we're really turning a corner here. And we're featuring a solo quartet here, Katie and Keith on cornets, and Renee and Amanda on euphonium out front here. And I want to do a special thank you. We have 2 ill musicians who couldn't be with us tonight, so Keith came in this afternoon. Thank you, Keith. And yes. And Paul, who you saw playing timpani, but he has since disappeared because there's no timpani in this piece. Paul joined us also this afternoon. We had a bit of an emergency yesterday, but thank heavens we've got good friends who can make good music. We hope you enjoy Pachelbel Canon. I can tell you like that one. Our final piece of the brass band before we welcome our guests, the Southern Alberta Trombone Collective, for a little change of pace with a smaller group. Our final piece with our full group is in 4 movements in your program. It's called the Second Suite in F. Under the direction of Tanya Arnold, I heard this band play the first suite in E flat last spring, and it was just wonderful. And so I thought, well, why don't we bookend that by playing the second suite as well, which is really quite different. Gustav Holst was a British composer. He sounds sort of German, but he was British. And he wrote this way back in 1911, so it's probably the second oldest piece on our program. And it's based all on English folk songs and English dances, ranging from really happy, joyful, bouncy music to very bittersweet, kind of sad love songs, and even one really energetic blacksmith song. We should have a contest and see if you can guess which movement is the blacksmith movement. I'll give you a hint. The answer is in the percussion section. You'll hear it later. So this is Gustav Holst's second suite in F.
We are now going to transition our brass band off of the stage and welcome our guest artists, the Southern Alberta Trombone Collective. And while they are filing off of the stage. While they're doing that, I'll just take a minute to say thank you to some important people. So first of all, thank you to the staff at the College Drive Community Church. This is a great place for us to do our concerts. We love doing our concerts here, and we're very grateful for the people that make that possible. We'll also say thank you to the board of directors for the Lethbridge Community Band Society, who work so hard to put these concerts together. And while Ken mentioned earlier that we have a couple of people who filled in, and we also have people filling in on percussion just as guest musicians, because we don't have any percussionists who play with this band on a regular basis. So if you or someone you know plays percussion and you're looking for a band to join, this would be a great place for you. On the back of your program, there's some information about our social media. You can follow us there, you can message us there, you can go on our website and sign up. We'd love to have you as part of our band. Which is a slightly larger trombone that plays even lower notes, and then you will see the other trombones that are smaller or more regular sized, and they will be there as well. And I think we are ready to go now. Thank you to our wonderful volunteers for helping with striking the stage, and when they are ready, they will come on out. Thank you.
Oh, it's already live. I'm here. I'm looking for a button. And everybody's going to regret giving me a microphone anyways, so there's that too. Hi, thank you so much. We're so excited to be here to join the LCBS Brass Band for this evening's performance. We are the Southern Alberta Trombone Collective. Lethbridge and Southern Alberta is actually rather interesting for trombone players. There's a lot of us. There's just, I don't know, something in the water? I'm looking at Ken. There's quite a few of us, and what's really interesting is from all walks of life, whether we have students and professional musicians and doctors and managers and retired folk and teachers and on and on and on. There are a lot of us, and I think what really unifies us, of course, just like what happens with anything that is done through the Lethbridge Community Band Society, is that love of music. And in particular for us is the love of trombone music. Now, that can mean a bunch of different things. I'll tell you a little bit about what we just played in a second. The other selfish part of all of this is that I get to do a little bit of organizing, and then I drag these people kicking and screaming onto whatever sort of music I want to play. So it's a little bit fun on that respect for me as well. The one that we just played for you is something that kind of digs into a little bit of geeky trombone stuff that we all kind of love up on stage. There is a great bass trombonist named Bill Reichenbach. You've heard him. If you've seen a movie in the last 40 years, you've heard Bill Reichenbach. And when he was at the Eastman School of Music, he wrote a transcription of Scarborough Fair. And it's a great transcription that all trombonists at some point or another play it feels like every year, every second week. Everybody's kind of nodding like, yeah. But the funny thing is that it got passed around a lot. Old photocopies, Xeroxes, and then scans. And so Bill Reichenbach never made any money off of it. And so to kind of capitalize on the fame of that piece for trombonists and to hopefully make a little bit of coin back on the effort that he put into it, he did a second version, which is what you just heard, Back to the Fair. And so the little joke in between trombonists is that, oh, we're back at the fair now? Yeah, this is the one that is more complex and more profit generating. So that is Back to the Fair. We're going to change gears a little bit for you. We're going to play two segments of what is called the Gettysburg Suite. So Gettysburg was this is soundtrack that we're going to perform for you. So Gettysburg, of course, being the Battle of Gettysburg in the United States in the late 1800s. I'm going to avoid really getting political at all right now. But it was a pivotal battle, of course, in the Civil War in the United States of America. And there was a great film about this. It's on Turner, well, for us in Canada, it's on TBS, Turner Broadcast Station, if anybody, anyway. It was Channel 26 in Lethbridge. I'm not that old. Anyway, but the point is that it is a great soundtrack to a really well-done film. Martin Sheen, Tom Berenger, Jeff Daniels, great show. And I only know of it, interestingly enough, for me anyways, is I really want to make a really good impression upon my father-in-law at the time, who is a Civil War buff. And the only way I could think of really getting caught up on anything Civil War related was watching film. And so that's where I know this from, is the soundtrack to Gettysburg. So we're going to play two segments, the prologue, which highlights some of the more romantic or lyrical moments of the film, and then day one, which highlights the first of 3 days of battles at the Battle of Gettysburg. So we have the title there of prologue, and then day one with some of the relevant generals and military personnel on both sides. So we hope you enjoy part of the Gettysburg Suite.
All right, we will now take a brief intermission. Washrooms and water fountain are just out to your left there, and we will see you back in 15 minutes. Thank you.
Now that we have your attention, I think we'll change things up a little bit after that. That was Welcome to the Jungle. Not very often that you hear a brass band playing hard rock / heavy metal music, but somehow, it's Guns N' Roses, that tune. Somehow it works, and you can tell we have a lot of fun playing that one. Well, the program's called Kaleidoscope, so we might as well do a bunch of different stuff. So we go from the jungle now to the absolutely sublime. Our next piece, Ave Maria, of course, is based on a religious text. It's written by a German composer named Franz Biebel, who was a composer, a chorus master, and a music professor in the years following World War II in Germany. And it's probably, well, it absolutely is his best-known piece. You'll find absolutely stunning recordings of it by vocal groups like Chanticleer and Voce 8 and other groups like that. It's one of my absolute favorite pieces. And I want to dedicate it to two people tonight. One is to the founding conductor of the Lethbridge Community Gold Band that started all of this many, many 30-plus years ago. Dr. Robert Cook introduced me to this piece. And it was one of his favorites, and we played it at a concert after he passed away, a memorial concert just for Bob. And so I think of Bob as I do this piece. And I lost my main mentor this spring in January, a fellow named Bill Wall from Medicine Hat, who some of you may have seen or heard at some point. Many in our band have worked with him. So this is a beautiful piece with great deep meaning and a real change of direction from Welcome to the Jungle. Here we go with Ave Maria. I just want to thank the band for that. They did everything I asked for, and I love that. Thank you. That meant a lot. I'm going to get emotional. But first, we have an awesome piece. We welcome to the stage University of Lethbridge grad from, what, 3 years ago, Claire? 2 or 3 from Josh's studio, and a more recent Master of Music grad from the University of Victoria, and a former student of mine from high school, and this is just so awesome to have Claire doing this. She's playing Libertango, which is a really sultry, beautiful piece by Astor Piazzolla, who is from Argentina, which is where tangos are from. And he started a thing back in the 70s called Nuevo Tango, and it fuses in a little bit of jazz. So please welcome Claire for Libertango. It's just so awesome to have Claire back in town and just hear where she's going with that instrument. Just beautiful. By the way, that's a flugelhorn she has. You want to hold that? Yeah, it's like a pregnant trumpet, sort of. Yeah. And while we're on that, who could name every instrument in our band? There's some weird ones. Instruments, not people, Renee. Weird ones. Okay, we're going to have the cornets hold theirs up. They're like squished trumpets. Looks like they got put in a vise and squished. Oh, yeah, there we go. And next down the line is Claire's flugelhorn. Next, we have E-flat horns instead of the regular F circular horns. Yeah, so they're like little baby baritones, sort of. And then we graduate up to our baritones that are a little bit bigger. Hold up those E-flats again so we can see the difference. So that's E-flat, that's baritone B-flat. Then we have these two big euphoniums here. Excellent. Then we have like two kinds of tubas. We have a smaller E-flat tuba back there that Life plays. It looks bigger, but it's smaller, trust me. And then we have two big B-flat tubas. Oh yeah, that one's definitely bigger. Jim, are you on E-flat or? Oh, he's on an F tuba, just to make it interesting. And my favorite section, the trombones. It's like the only normal instrument in the whole band. Okay, shouldn't say that. And of course, we featured our percussion in this half, and the whole kitchen sink stuff all the way across the back there. So that's our instrumentation. It's a traditional British brass band instrumentation that not a lot of people are familiar with. I rarely color code my conductor scores, but I had to color code my scores because all the instruments are so different. It's my first time conducting a group like this, and first rehearsal, I couldn't tell who was playing what, but I'm getting there. So anyways, our next piece in our kaleidoscope of various styles is definitely the most introspective piece. It's called Lyric Essay by Canadian composer Don Coakley. He's a retired music professor from York University, currently still living in the Toronto area and writing a little bit of music. This piece he wrote in 1975, and it's on festival lists all over Canada and the rest of North America. Lyric Essay. Isn't that a neat piece? It just takes you on a very introspective kind of journey. I think that might be my favorite out of the whole bunch, but I like that kind of stuff. Now, in our kaleidoscope, our last piece with just the brass band is completely different. Klezmer Carnival by Philip Spark. Philip Spark is a very prolific English composer, writes lots of music for brass bands, and so knows the kind of group inside out. And this piece that he wrote about 20 years ago is based on traditional klezmer music from the shtetl villages in Eastern Europe. Klezmer is a Yiddish word that means instrument song. So singing a song with an instrument, and it traditionally has clarinet and other instruments in it. And violin, you may have heard some klezmer music at some point. And it has its roots in both sacred and secular Jewish songs and dances. And this one takes us through 3 traditional klezmer tunes. The first is a good luck wedding dance. So you can almost see the people dancing. The slower is a slow circle dance that picks up, then it goes into a really slow circle dance, and finally it goes into a scissor dance, which is quite a daring, athletic kind of thing that just keeps going faster and faster. So our last piece with our brass band together, Klezmer Carnival. We're going to bring our trombone guests out for one big crazy piece all together. We're going to have 11 trombones lined up here in about 40 seconds. Here we go. And all cover. So we welcome back Dr. Nick Sullivan and his octet, plus our trombone section, in a piece called Bravo Bones, which is just for fun. Nick calls it candy, and I agree. It's an original piece for brass band and sort of completes our varied kaleidoscope tonight. So I want to thank Renee for the welcome back. He's right. I started with the the silver band over 30 years ago. And then I did a run with the gold band, and now I'm here with the brass band. It's really cool. It's fun to be back, waving the arms again in front of great musicians like this. This is such a keen and able and willing and fun to get along with kind of group. I'm just really enjoying this. Thank you, Renee, for the welcome. It's great to be back. And I want to thank all these players behind me, all these great trombone players in front of me. And there's some other people. I really want to thank Josh for being the founding conductor of this group, an idea he cooked up with Renee. I want to thank Tanya for leading the group for the last 2 years. It's been wonderful to step in onto the podium after you, Tanya. Thank you for everything. And Tanya gave me lots of advice and help along the way. Did you have to color code your scores too? Okay, yes. And I really want to thank the Community Band Board that makes all this stuff work, all the committees, especially the concert committee led by Corey, and all the volunteers that keep this going. And most of all, thank you for coming out to our concert. We wouldn't do them if we didn't have an audience. It'd be quite boring, actually. It'd be like a second dress rehearsal or something. So thank you for coming out. And we end with Bravo Bones. Bones is the slang term for trombone player. There are other more derogatory terms, but bones is what we'll roll with.